Hazelcat, Hazelcat, rescue cat who knows where it's at. Use a chair for her bed, pair of cymbals by her head. Look out, here comes the Hazelcat.
I think they had you in mind when they made this episode. Not only is it as big as a bus, it can levitate. And it can steal stuff right through a window, and a bank vault, and a warehouse wall. Beyond the question of how it's doing that, why does a cat need jewelry and cash and furs and such? I'm pretty sure this isn't a remake of the Aristocats. That's all the stuff that cat stole, and a lot of it is floating. And what was that last thing, and why would a cat want it?
Success!
Oh, that's not part of the loot. That's one of those.
Yes, the night has been good to us. This city will not in its wildest dreams guess the cause of its loss. Yes, it appears we have found a home, my pet.
He goes by Pardo, and I guess he's a wizard or magician of some kind. The cat must be his familiar or something. He says, next we'll do a performance for a bunch of blue bloods. You don't hear that word much anymore. It meant the absolute upper crust of society, those with the money and pedigrees to be considered the elite of the elite. It originated in Europe around the 19th century and was a term for the nobility, those with the oldest and most established bloodlines. There's a story that in the Middle Ages, Castilian nobles would point to the blue veins in their arms to prove they didn't have any Moorish blood in them, but I haven't been able to confirm that. Considering what we know of anatomy and medicine in 18th and 19th century Europe, I can see something like that happening, but the truth is that the origin is lost to the ravages of time. With the massive shift in attitudes that happened during the 20th century, we now find ourselves in the 21st century where nobility ain't what it used to be. The number of people, families, and institutions that care if you can trace your lineage back to King Howitzer One Tooth is shrinking every year. I guess it's a good thing Pardo was catching them now.
Yes, the skyscraper thefts were apparently timed in rapid succession, and the smooth precision in which they were carried out has local police convinced there is a cunning cat burglar loose in the city.
Peter, how could a burglar have possibly gotten into all those places? That sounds impossible, humanly impossible.
Yes, I wonder what we're up against.
We? Is she your sidekick now? Eventually, one time we'll hear him call her Polly. She's there so Peter doesn't always have to talk to himself.
On the lighter side of the news,
Look!
a gala movie premiere is set for our town tonight. The specially invited audience of top city officials is promised an evening full of surprises.
And somehow, two members of that hand-picked audience are Peter Parker and +1.
Yes, I hope you brought plenty of money, because this performance is a benefit. Mine.
Supposedly, this is the debut of a new screening process using a film called My Pet. That gas is some kind of mesmerizing agent. It has everybody except Peter in an obedient state, and Pete isn't doing all that great himself. While he's fighting off the effects of the gas and that giant eye image, Pardo has a couple of henchmen head down the aisles on a scooter. All the people will stuff their valuables into several huge bags, and the grunts will take it all back to Pardo. Several months ago, I got to see Puddles' Pity Party in concert. For those who don't know, Puddles is a 7-foot clown who sings like any angel you ever imagined. He started doing a song and came down from the stage. As you can imagine, everybody had their phones out filming him. He walked up to someone and motioned to hand him the phone, then he held it up and sang to it for a few seconds. When he was done, he gave the phone back to somebody else across the aisle. He went all the way down the aisle doing this, take somebody's phone, sing to it, then hand it to some random stranger. He probably mixed up 20 phones. Watching people unscramble that after he was done was as funny as the song itself, and I mention it because getting that sorted out was nothing compared to what it's going to take to get all that stuff back to the proper owners. That idea does make me happy about one thing: I'm not in charge of it. Now the question is what he figures to do with it. Wouldn't that have been more effective if he zapped the bags and left the scooter? Your cat's aim is a little off. Where'd the 3 other scooters come from? If you're expecting answers, you haven't been paying attention this season. Now he says he's basically going to suck the souls out of all those people and leave them empty husks. Why?
Because I'm a villain. It's pure and simple.
Spiderman!
Pardo.
You!
Show's over, Bright Eyes, and my friends demand a refund.
Really? Come and try to get it!
Oh, I want one. That would make going back and forth between the house and the studio so lazy. Spidey didn't realize until it was too late that the opening in the screen led to a giant vat of liquid LSD. As far as anybody knows, he's still tripping.
Holy cats!
Not asking. The cat will wander off to terrorize other parts of the city while Spider-Man comes up with a way to get out of this water tower. That's not a fancy ruby and you're not the warlock, so I don't think putting a gem on a stick is going to make much of a magic wand for you. You know, I'm not sure which is less believable, that or an actual magic wand. Funny the cat doesn't like the zappy stuff. That gives Spider-Man an idea.
Look! Spider-Man! He's got him on the run!
Who's got who on the run?
That depends on what connotations you put into that phrase. It isn't running away from him, that's true. But it is running the direction he wants it to, so in that sense, Polly is correct.
Come on. I'll sell you the Brooklyn Bridge. You'll get a big bang out of that.
ladies and gentlemen, the chase has led right down to the waterfront, and Spider-Man is cornered against the bridge.
Oh, is he now? That news helicopter is there so the reporter can tell us everything that Spider-Man is doing without us actually having to pay our narrator.
Spider-Man has just webbed out his line between the cat and himself, but if he thinks that net will stop the great beast... Oh, wait a minute. He's now anchoring his net to the subway's electric third rail.
What happens to a giant magical kitty cat when it's hit with a high-powered electrical charge?
The same thing that happens to everything else.
You mean that's all that's left? Just Pardo's clothes?
Nothing else.
Peter is pretty sure he's figured out why that is.
I wonder who he was, this Pardo, and his pet.
I think maybe they were one and the same.
If you go back through the episode and watch carefully, we have some subtle editing that makes it look as though we saw them both in the same place, but we didn't really. It's some good directing. So far in this season, that makes exactly one such instance.
Maybe this Pardo had the power to transform himself into pure energy.
You mean an electronic werewolf?
Or cat.
Golly, how could even Spider-Man battle that?
Simple. He gave him his discharge.
The next day, Polly ran off with the first muscle-bound jock she could get her hands on. She decided anything was better than that.